On this week's GTA 6 o'clock, could a small design change hint at bigger gameplay changes? In GTA, that's most likely going to be your car, putting extra weapons in the boot. GTA 6 and the UFO house.
It could either be a house full of UFOs or...
And the smallest details uncover a new location. Yes, and there's the bombshell, listeners. Yeah. It's all here on this week's GTA 6 o'clock. Hello and welcome to episode 94 of GTA 6 o'clock, the world's most in-depth and best connected GTA 6 show. I'm your host, James JJ Jarvis, and joining me is Dan, distinct voice Dawkins.
Ahoy hoy.
See, now you can tell the difference. First off, a big shout out to everyone who commented last week giving us suggestions for guests for our 100th episode, which is coming up. If you did have any extra things and didn't get in touch last week, please put anyone you'd like to see on our 100th episode, which is coming up in only 6 weeks' time, in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. And we will start reaching out to people and hopefully get a whole swathe of special guests for the 100th episode, which is coming up soon. If you haven't subscribed, you should subscribe, and then you'll get a reminder when the 100th episode comes out in just 6 weeks' time. There was also, Dan, lots of chat last week about pre-orders happening in November. I think you got people quite excited when you suggested that you would like to see something before the end of the year. Any updated thoughts on content drops 1 week later?
No, I did see, from being on social media, a lot of the GTA fan accounts also hyping up this idea of, and I don't know whether this is the, if a butterfly flaps its wings, you know, in the mid-Pacific, it leads to a hurricane in the UK.
You're just manifesting it.
I'm worried that I've had some cosmic effect on lots of accounts saying, could something happen before Christmas? Mine is more based on, you know, a bit of history and a bit of vibes. And now all the accounts are agreeing with me. Well, it's clearly going to happen, isn't it?
Clearly, yes. I mean, I said last week, I think it's less likely to happen, especially early November. I think a lot of people were touting it like pre-investor call, which happens, I think, November 6th from memory. I don't know. That's pretty soon. Would be a great thing to happen. But I also, like I said last week, I think if it happens, it will just be an announcement saying pre-orders are open now and naturally won't come with any kind of content or asset at that specific time. Maybe something will happen a couple of weeks after that. But I feel like the pre-order announcement is just going to be you can pre-order the game now. Yeah,
I am pro pre-orders pre-Christmas.
There we are then. Okay, right, on to some fresh topics for this week. Is anything really fresh after 94 weeks, Dan? Except maybe a McDonald's hamburger. That's a joke that I wrote in the script and have now read out.
Sorry, I forgot to... Dan laughs uproariously.
Yeah, did you miss that note? Do you want to do that again? Let's do it again. Okay. Right, on to some fresh topics for this week. Is anything fresh after 94 weeks, Dan? Except maybe a McDonald's hamburger. Thank you. Anyway, but there have been various reports. Nathan, please leave all of that in.
Oh, my God. Please.
Since the leaks about an updated weapon wheel coming for GTA 6, which is more in line with the one that we saw in Red Dead Redemption 2. The concept is, in a nutshell, that the weapons won't just appear on your body once you select them and have to sort of be taken with you on your journey. Now, in Red Dead, that was via your horse. You stored a lot of weapons. I was about to say in your horse, but on your horse, you know, within the saddle and things. In GTA, that's most likely going to be your car, putting extra weapons in the boot. So you'll be able to carry around a number of weapons, probably in GTA's case, let's say a machine gun and a pistol, and maybe something bigger like grenade launcher, rocket launcher. But to have multiple versions of those weapons, they might have to live in the trunk of your car. There's also a tweet in that latest article, which was from comicbook.com, from Tez2, who we've talked about before. Got quite a reasonable reputation of putting out rumors and some leaks But this one, I would say, is one of the most non-committal things I've ever heard, Dan. The tweet was, I believe last year that they, Rockstar Games, experimented with smaller weapon wheels or sub-wheels within the big weapon wheel. But this may have since been scrapped or updated to a different style. Now, I have written that I'm not trying to throw shade around here, but that is such a non-thing to say. It's like, I believe, so that's just a belief without any proof, that they've experimented with a thing that also might have been taken out or updated to be something completely different.
I mean, look, it's so non-committal. Does he want a job on GTA 6 o'clock? I'm only joking. Language that would be better, like when journalists, say transfer journalists in football circles talk, they will say, I understand, as in, based on my sources, this. I believe that's something Cher says. It's not something you write. It's a serious journalist.
What a reference.
Yeah. Look it up, guys.
So look, I mean, as we said, it's a pretty weak statement. Like here you go, as an example. I believe that Rockstar are experimenting with a car refueling system, but this may have since been scrapped or changed during development. There you go. There's a thing that we could tweet out, but probably won't, because, do I believe that they played around with it? Yeah, maybe they did. But that's just saying that's a thing that may or may not be in the game, because they could have played around with it, kept it in, or taken it out. Who knows? And
furthermore, as was well established,
here we go,
a car refueling system would be thrown out of any sensible ideas, debate, or discussion as utter madness. So, whilst I understand you are pointing out much more the semantics of language, the core concept put forward is inherently quite risky.
Yes.
I think. And that's a big in-joke for old listeners.
Yeah, 94 episodes in. It's not been thrown out yet.
Wait till the day it's in there and I have to not eat humble pie. I have to refuel my Pontiac Firebird or whatever car I'm driving.
That's all you'll be doing when we get on to playing the game for reals.
Good grief.
Just be like, you just have to drive around and refill your car.
The refueling guy.
But let's get back to the weapon selection system. Is this kind of thing something that you would welcome in GTA 6 as a concept? As the fact that you can only carry a certain number of weapons with you and have to go back to get the bigger, maybe more heavy arsenal?
I think it's quite a good idea. It's something I've thought about a lot, because I've said this on the podcast a few times. We're playing a lot of Death Stranding 2, where every single, and that's intrinsic to this game. It's like a delivery game. So there's a gameplay mechanic, and you can only carry what you can stack. Now, obviously, in that game, you can end up with like 10 boxes stacked on your shoulders. GTA is not going to get to that level. But at the very simple level of your body is only finitely big and you can only conceal so much, that's quite interesting. I think the problem becomes, whereas people are, say, used to playing GTA a certain way, let's say you're playing it in that kind of free roam, dip in for 10 minutes way. I just want to cause a rampage. And then, like, you on the street, you whip out an RPG or a machine gun, which you've been able to do in the past. The only weapons really you could conceal and that our people notice are things like pistols, knives, maybe a cheeky grenade. But, like, it would really limit your ability. The minute you bring a machine gun into play, or certainly an RPG, like those huge pipe bomb ones, if the world reacts as realistically as we expect it to, the entire game changes. Because the minute you walk down the street with a clearly visible rocket launcher, were that to happen in any street we live in, people would remark upon it and run away.
And I guess this is where maybe a bit of the realism and the game element of it would come into effect. Because I think they will be walking down the streets with machine guns, on their back or over their shoulder when you're not using it. And I think you'd be able to walk down the street without all of the NPCs reacting to that, just because, like you say, if they did, that would be a madness. But I think you'd be able to carry a machine gun and a pistol around fine without anyone causing a scene.
And do you mean that, like, your character would have it on their person but it not be physically visible? Or it would be physically visible but no one would remark upon it?
Number two, yes.
What do you think people would walk along with a machine gun on their back and no one would say anything?
I think that you'd have to. Otherwise, what are you doing?
No,
You
that's
can't just
mad. You can't do
leave-
that.
Well,
I mean,
I
it's
think
not as
you
mad
can.
as, not as mad as refueling, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, they could do that. It just feels like in a game that I assume is driving for realism, if in every cutscene Jason was wearing like a Kalashnikov, it would surely be remarked upon in the pet shop or when he's at the salon. It's just, for me, that creates a fundamental disconnect. It's like an existential level of disconnect. You're quite right. Video games for time immemorial have let characters walk into locations, looking in a way that would surely get remarked upon.
yeah.
Or had a weapon that's hidden.
And it is the same concept as GTA 5. Like, you can walk down the street with your machine gun out and no one does anything. Like, it's only when you start pointing it at people that they react. So you can be passive and carrying your machine gun.
Officer.
Yes, I promise. So I guess it's just an extension of that. Like, I think as long as you're not waving it around and pointing at people, you'll be classed as someone who is just a peace-loving member of the community until someone runs a red light, and then all hell might break loose.
It does raise a really interesting question. I don't know how they resolve it, but I think there's something that an internal logic problem they'd have to address. Because if you're going for a realism, and like aesthetic realism that can be seen by the player and the characters in game, you would severely limit what people could carry. And then that impacts gameplay fun, doesn't it?
Yes.
If every time you want to have a rampage, you've got to walk back to the car and take it out of the boot. Now, whether they, like you say, they find some kind of like quasi-realism system where things like miniguns or really significantly heavy pieces of art, things that couldn't be physically carried easily have to sit in the boot, maybe. But then you're in that dreaded halfway house between realism and, I don't know, maybe a lot of games do that, right? So maybe that's what they'll do.
Yeah. I mean, it does, like you say, raise a wider question about the sandbox element of things. Like, when you do just want to go around and do whatever you want, how do you balance that with giving you access to maybe all the weapons you want at that time versus when you're just, you're there to do some missions and stuff and it's limited to just the things you can carry with you? Or maybe it will just turn out that the rampage section of the game is slightly toned down and you can only really activate it with pistols and machine guns unless you're standing next to your car, and then you can get out a few more weapons and go and do what you want.
It's difficult to discuss the idea of like wheels within wheels without seeing it, I guess. But like, based on what you know of, like, let's say Red Dead or the way that moved on, do you think there's anything they could take from that system they could bring across?
I think it's only the thing that they're looking at, which must be leaving too many weapons in a area or an object like your horse. So you can carry around all the stuff you want with you. It's just you can't have it on your person all the time. So I guess from a gameplay perspective, if you know you're going into what is likely going to turn into a high-octane gunfight, you're going to bring your bigger weapons with you rather than just go in with a knife and a pistol. And I think there's a good, fun gameplay element to that of like deciding which weapons you want to take and then be like, oh, I wish I'd bought the shotgun instead of this stupid pistol. And maybe there's consequences to doing things with bigger weapons or smaller weapons. Like, I just don't really know. But I can see the system working.
It's something that, again, Death Stranding 2 does really well, where every weapon has a weight and a size. So you do, when you know you're going, and it's so signposted because the characters go, hey, Sam, have you thought about packing some heat, in so many words? So you basically recalibrate your entire loadout for heavy weaponry or certain types of weaponry. But you'll always be able to carry a pistol. It's pretty light. But the bigger pieces, you have to make strategic choices. I think that would be interesting. And like the way that game deals with, they've got a wheel of various choices, and then that turns into a horizontal selector when you've chosen your position on the wheel. So it might be you go to the grenade section or like the hand implements, then you scroll across 10 different things. I don't know. And I guess this is something that, to an extent, they can experiment with relatively late. The point for the gameplay, it's more that the character has access to these things, maybe, than how do you access them with the UX, unless the UX is so cumbersome that it makes certain missions infuriating and hard, which has definitely been the case in older GTAs. So I'm going back to like the original Vice City or something. So I don't know. I don't know which way they're going to lean with it, but I would look to Red Dead and what other modern games are doing, I think.
Yeah, and speaking of, it did get me thinking of, could this possibly indicate that GTA is going on a slightly more RPG road than it ever has done before? Like, could these weapons slow you down due to their weight? Or could you run slower? For instance, when you're holding a rocket launcher, you can't move around as nimbly. Or you get, even overburdened like you do in games like Skyrim by picking up too much stuff.
Yeah.
You are then slowed down because, you're carrying your minigun and your rocket launcher and you've picked up 50 packets of crisps or whatever the GTA equivalent is going to be. Like, is that something like as an RPG style mechanic that might make its way into GTA? Like, we've seen them play with food and weight and going to the gym and stuff before, all the way back in San Andreas. So it's definitely a thing that they've experimented with. Will that come full circle to GTA 6 and all of those features be implemented? What do you think?
I think, again, like I've said, a path of quasi-realism. So like if you went, let's say you went to your car and in the trunk got out a minigun, I don't think it would be realistic to be able to sprint back full speed holding the minigun to where you were. Like some kind of gradiated slowdown factor might be more realistic. And then it's a little bit about, you might have to think strategically about where you park the car or that sort of thing, which is what you would do. Again, you would do in real life were you to need to access your trunk for a minigun, which I'm sure is a thing very few people contemplate. But with the right balance, like anything, complete realism would be terrible.
Yes.
One bullet, you're dead forever. That's the reality of life. So there's all give and take in this system. But I would say things that echo to realism, things, same with like weight, things like it could be character scarring or whatever, sunburn. We've talked about these factors. Sunburn seems to be clearly in the game.
Yeah, and things like hair growth.
Yeah.
Also in the game. We're in Red Dead. Why wouldn't they port it over to GTA 6?
Which I guess are fundamentally cosmetics. Unless you were to like say, for example, severe sunburn, take 5 off your health bar or whatever it is. There's probably ways you can apply a little bit of realism without making the game completely wretched and unplayable. So I don't know. I think they'll edge towards, I can see them edging towards more RPG elements, but not utterly burdened by numbers, and to the point where I guess there's a lot of people who play GTA who are very casual players. They do not want to play an RPG.
No, and to be clear, I never want to see numbers popping off people when I'm shooting them with a machine gun.
No.
So don't do that. But maybe let me have, eat a burger and get a bit of fat. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right then, Dan. From one speculative topic to the next, and this is the concept of a UFO house appearing in GTA 6. But it's not what you think. Well, it might be what you think. What do you think of this?
Of a UFO house?
Yes.
It could either be a house full of UFOs,
Not yet.
or a house in the shape of a UFO. Would be my guess.
Okay, well, you are correct, but I'm not going to tell you which way yet. Well, I am, just right now. On the Mapping Project website, there is a real-world pin on the Pensacola UFO house. Now, this is there because of an event listing in the leaks, which I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but at a stretch could reference this house. Now, the house in real life is dubbed the UFO house. It's withstood many hurricanes since it was erected in the 1960s, and its experimental design was hyped as the home of the future, but only less than 100 were ever built, and around 60 of them still remain scattered across the globe. it houses the Pensacola Beach Preservation and Historical Society headquarters. Now, Dan, when we were looking at this earlier and on the way to the studio, we noted the fact that the house is just a normal looking house with a UFO-shaped object on the top of it, which is a room, but it's in the middle of a street that is, apart from this, just a very suburban-looking US street.
Yeah, it looks like the housing in the Florida Keys, but isn't the Florida Keys. You can spin round on the Google Maps and see the other side of it. But it's loads and loads of very normal looking low-rise houses. And in the middle of it, just plonked, is like a square base with what looks like a UFO on top of it. And this might be the outdated Google photo. It's also sadly been boarded up and it looks like nobody lives there. So, boo. That's the current Google photo, right? It could be out of date, and maybe someone has moved in and is living the UFO lifestyle dream. But yeah, Google reports that it's actually all blocked up and has got caging around it, which is a shame. But yeah, it looks like a UFO, an ordinary UFO on a normal suburban street.
Yeah, and I guess the point to make here is that Pensacola Beach, which is where this is located, or this one that we're looking at on the show anyway, is barely in Florida. Like, it's all the way on the western edge of the panhandle. If you were taking the whole state, like if you go all the way to the west, it's right on the edge of the border of the state, almost, which is a long, 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 long way away from where we expect the map for GTA 6 to end. So could this house feature in GTA 6 in some way, just in a slightly moved location like we've talked about on the show before? A lot of things are being transplanted from one bit of Florida somewhere else. Yeah, I can see that totally happening. I don't see Pensacola in any way featuring in GTA 6 in the geographic location that it is in real life. Could it exist somewhere else? Yes. And does this event in the leaks reference this house? Maybe. But if it's not this house, what could it be? And I tried to look up things that were like maybe semi-related to the, a UFO kind of event in Florida. There's an interesting note that in 2024, the National UFO Reporting Center documented 63 cases in Florida, and that UFO sightings aren't unusual here, and it actually ranks only behind California, where GTA 5 was set, in the number of reports of unidentified aerial phenomena. So it's not an uncommon thing to have UFO reports in Florida, much like it isn't in Los Angeles / California. Could we see a return of the secret UFOs? Or does that feel like that's been played out by GTA 5 and GTA 6 needs some other kind of secret endgame thing to happen?
I think there's another level to this where, for people who fine-tooth combed the GTA 6 leaks, there was a one-off reference to an event in there linked to UFOs. I can't remember the exact terminology. It was like UFO event or something pretty broad. So I think people are kind of seeing that in that file dump and linking it to, and there's a UFO house sort of near Miami, sort of, and could the two things be linked? Yeah, I get it. Now, in terms of wider GTA lore, UFOs felt like they were a really big part of 5. We all did the Mount Chiliad mystery game. It was really fun. It felt like a bigger thing. There was the UFOs you could see. It was really exciting. Like, are they played out? I'm like, I don't think so. Like, they're still like maybe one of the great undiscovered frontier for mankind. It's exotic. It's exciting. It's terrifying. I feel like they could easily lean back into it again. And you can either go into it from the point of view of they're here, they're real, it's the greys. And it taps very much into the stuff they've done in the past with characters like The Truth, like they're going to do this time around with Cal Hampton. It could allow you to reintroduce characters who've got that link to the spectral realm, like Chris Fromage from the Epsilon program. And that was why I was frantically typing off air, checking Chris Fromage wasn't dead in the universe. Like, that's an interesting thing because he appears in GTA Online as an almost spectral presence to bring you back to life. But the implication is he's alive somewhere in the universe. So like there could be a fun thing of, good Lord, it's Christopher Marsh in the UFO house. Or something like that. Or somewhere you end up on a sort of Strangers and Freaks style mission. And then the joke's either that, spoilers for an Indiana Jones film, that's a real UFO, or it just looks like one, but it's actually a dud and all this stuff is debunked. I think either would be fun. But personally, I think people really like the UFO stuff and I could see it coming back. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I guess I could see it coming back. And like we've talked about before, it's 13 years since GTA 5. I guess that's long enough time to revisit the UFOs. It just felt like I can see there being events in the game and things that happen, maybe one-off sightings at a certain time and day and location. If you stood there, you might see some things flying around the sky. I don't think we'll get back to the full-blown 100% story completion, then travel to the top of this mountain and at a certain point a UFO will appear. Like that feels too close to 5. I think we'll get some instances of UFOs in the game somewhere and somehow, but I'd like to see an end game mystery, as it were, be something else.
Yeah, and whether that's puzzle piece, mission, it ends in a culminating event. And that could be something like it's in the Bermuda Triangle.
Here we go.
It's in the lost city of Atlantis, but something that ties the idea of extraterrestrial species to unexplained events. Just like I say, it doesn't have to be a mountain and the Close Encounters of, the Third Kind style lights, but something else possibly. We don't know, and that's the fun. I wouldn't want to know.
No.
The fun is the speculation, and I definitely want that to be a surprise in the game.
Yeah.
Before the internet spoils everything in 3 days.
And as we all know, I'm always here for a mystery. So the more in-depth and convoluted that thing is, the better, please. Right, after all of that speculation chat, it's time for some cold, hard facts, Dan. Now, shout out to the GTA 6 Discord and GTA forums for this. But Dan, I want you to look at this screenshot here very closely. Now, I don't think we've analysed this screenshot in detail before. Or, in fact, this character so much. So this is Dre Quan Priest. He's the owner of Only Raw Records. And there's a bit of background about him. But first off, from this image, what can we see here, Dan?
So you're quite right. We haven't really talked about Dre Quan Priest at all. I've just mispronounced my R's, James.
That'll be a surprise to everyone listening.
I can't believe I've done it. I don't think of myself as someone who mispronounces his R's. Dre Quan Priest is stood at what looks like a quite swaggy pool party. You assume somewhere like in Miami. You can zoom in and see all the kinds of details about he's flexing his lifestyle. He's got a really nice ornate hand tattoos. He's got a really nice gold watch. It even looks, if you really zoom in, there's bevel detail on his glass that makes even the glass look expensive. And maybe the interior of the glass echoes the things he's got on his buttons, almost like he's completely branded. That's just someone being rich, and it may not even be the right observation. Beyond that, even if you zoom in and you amplify all the lighting, he's just at a pool party full of semi-clothed young cool people. And as we say, we've been talking about off air, there's a neon sign that says something AI dreams, but we've been struggling a little bit to nail down what that could mean.
Yeah, there's not a lot of words that end with AI. I think this is probably a 4, 5, 6 letter word. It's hard to find one of those that would fit in here. So, guesses in the comments, please. I first thought it said Miami. That wouldn't work because it would have to say Vice City. So
Miami.
And it's not spelled right. So that none of those things work. But yes, as you said, this is Dre Quan. The description on the Rockstar website says a quote that is, now he's signed the real dimes. Dre Quan's days of booking acts into Booby's strip club might be numbered as he sets his sights on the Vice City scene. And Booby's description is Booby might seem like he's just out for himself, but his partnership with the new, young, aspiring music mongrel Dre Quan for Only Raw Records it's that he's most invested in. Now they just need a hit. And Booby's other quote is, "The club money pay for the studio, the drug money pay for all of it." So they're obviously in business together, possibly both in business in the drug dealing one and also in the music and club scene. Booby owns the strip club, which is what we think is the Jack of Hearts. Draquan owns this record label. Both of them together has signed real dimes, which we've seen in other screenshots. They're the music act. So there's a relationship building here between a lot of the sub-characters that we've seen. The interesting bit here, and it plays into your descriptions of what you thought this location would be like, Dan, is let me show you this image. And I've purposely made it small in the notes, and now I'm going to make it big. And see what your reactions to this are. Have a look under Draquan's left arm, and what he's leaning on there is the bar.
Oh,
here we go.
Wait there, everyone. Play the Seinfeld music. That is the revelation.
There we go.
Not the strawberries.
Well, I mean, for the listeners and not the, because people can't see this, what are you looking at here?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. This is a terrible thing.
This is good audio description.
Hello, podcast friends. So basically, there are, in the real life bar, there's a very clear and stylized sort of diamond tessellation, Art Deco style tiling. And it's like green, black. It's really iconic and identifiable. And Draquan is leaning on a bar, if you go into the very bottom right hand side of the screen, that looks an awful lot like it. The diamond pattern is identical, and actually there's even like highlight diamonds, which are like white/cream color. They're also in this picture. So do I think this was based off that? If I'm making snap decisions, and I am, yes.
Yes, and there's the bombshell, listeners.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at here in real life is the Strawberry Moon Bar at the Good Time Hotel, which is on Washington Avenue in Miami Beach. Described by them on the website, this is a reasonably long quote, as, "Inside to poolside, Strawberry Moon is a tropical, chic, Instagram-ready swim club, restaurant and bar tucked above the busy streets of South Beach at the Good Time Hotel. The name for the last full lunar evening of spring," now let's not get into lunar conversations because we know where that leads us on this show, "on which the moon glints with a roseate hue, Strawberry Moon ultimately captures the unique Miami cross-section of the happy, the hedonistic, and the healthy. It's a highly sociable and spacious food and beverage concept dappled in deco pinks, lagoon blues, and palm greens. From the enclosed restaurant area to the covered dining terrace to the expansive outdoor deck, the space flows seamlessly from indoor parlor to outside space. Ultimately, Strawberry Moon promises the tropical trinity of the experiential.
Good
exceptional
Lord.
Food, exceptional drink, and an exceptional visit. See you soon." Yeah, there you go.
A tropical trinity of the experiential.
Whew.
Someone there is either been on ChatGPT or is earning their dimes there.
Yeah, and the pictures from this website, if you go onto the Strawberry Moon Hotel, are very, very Instagram flavored, as they have suggested. This is an Instagram-ready location. It's like a party location. Big fact, this hotel was actually developed by the musician Pharrell Williams. And it opened in April 2021. So right around the time that we suspect GTA 6 R&D was still continuing. So prime thing to be in the game. A room here is about $450 to $500 a night. Now, people who have been to Miami and Florida might be able to steer me differently, but this feels like it's on the upper end of the levels of per night prices.
Yeah,
I think it's quite high.
Globally, that feels like it's putting you in the top 10% of hotel rooms.
It's set 3 streets back from Ocean Drive, which we've covered a lot on the podcast before. The only thing it doesn't have is that big pink neon sign. So it's harder to be like, oh, they've got a big pink neon sign that says this, therefore the GTA 6 version could say this. But it does have those plastic leaves or feathers that you talked about. In their other pictures, they're just green. In GTA 6, they look like they've changed them to pink. Yeah. It's a stylistic choice. I think we'd have guessed, as you did, that this is still in around the beach area, but it's pretty good to have a location now. And I would say, to echo your thoughts, that this is the same place. It's just been reimagined in GTA 6.
Yeah, it looks like they've played with the geography, because if you look at the real life bar, where Drake 1 is pictured, unless it's sort of like completely spanned the other way, it doesn't feel like it aligns. But all the detail is beyond incidental to me. They've clearly taken inspo from it. And I think it will be like they always do, a reimagined version of this club. So that's a really good spot, I think.
Yeah, it's got the bar, it's got the mosaics, it's got the pool, it's got the leaves. I think this is probably just going to be another hotel that you go to, and looks like a location that you'd go to with Drake 1 to talk about business or something. Like, he looks like it's a place that he would want to hang out. It's very much you'd go here from the looks of things to like be like, I'm of the lifestyle. Please come visit me at my lovely, we're having a pool party at the hotel. Come down.
You can see the mission where you walk in real time up the stairs and through the crowd, which segues seamlessly into a cutscene where they parlay a mission, and you could see yourself going back there. It feels it's exactly spot on.
Yeah, so great spot from the GTA 6 Discord and GTA Forum discussion boards. This is cool. If you've seen anything else that you'd like us to investigate, please put it in the comments below. As we mentioned at the top of the show, we're zooming towards episode 100. And if you have any suggestions for guests or special appearances that you would like to see on that show, please let us know in the comments or get in touch at GTA VOclock on Twitter, GTAVIOclock@gmail.com via email. We will take everything into consideration and hopefully make a really extra special episode 100 for you. Just before we go, you know what's coming up. Every week, pretty much, there is a GTA 6 newsletter. And Dan, how can people sign up for the GTA 6 o'clock newsletter?
If you would like the world's best and possibly only GTA 6 newsletter, head to gamesradar.com/newsletter and choose the GTA 6 sign-up option. And then every week, it's usually on a Friday, we deliver a series of the week's biggest stories and roundups. And we have a special feature every single week where we revisit a classic moment or a reason that we love Rockstar games.
It's really good. Please go and do that. While you're there, head over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Once you've done all these things, we will be back for another episode of GTA 6 o'clock.